Hello, I'm Father Joe Gambala, pastor of St. Malachy Catholic Church in Sterling Heights, Archdiocese of Detroit. Welcome to Saint of the Day, November the 18th. Today we have the dedication of the churches of St. Peter's and St. Paul. Well, everybody knows about St. Peter, the giant church in Rome where we go where we can watch midnight mass from, where the Pope celebrates a beautiful Christmas mass, and the square in front where the Pope has many audiences. Well, this basilica is specifically built where it is because of St. Peter himself. You see, St. Peter, when he was arrested during Nero's persecution of Christians in 60 AD, when Nero burned the city down, then convinced everybody it was those Christians who did it, had the Christians rounded up, including Peter, and had poor Peter crucified in this racetrack that was there next to what was called the Vatican Hill, one of the hills of Rome. No one really was living on that hill at the time, but there was a cemetery nearby, and Peter was buried there. And we know that is exactly where he was. If you went on the Scavi tour, and you go to Rome, and please avail yourself of it, you can actually literally visit the tomb of St. Peter. And while you're down there, underneath into this tomb, where you are, directly above you, is the altar of St. Peter, of Peter's Basilica. Because when Constantine declared the church legal, he asked the local Christians what they would like to do, and everybody knew that was Peter's tomb. So they said, we'd like to have a church built over the tomb. And so what Constantine did is he leveled off the top of the hill, filled in the valley where the racetrack was, moved the obelisk that was there to where it is now in front of the church. That's why the Vatican Hill doesn't look much like a hill, because it was partially leveled by Constantine. And then the original church was built there. That church lasted to the 1500s, and for various reasons had to be replaced with what's now known as the modern St. Peter's. Modern because it's only just under 500 years old, the Basilica of St. Peter. The Basilica of St. Paul is built outside the walls of Rome. It's specifically known as St. Paul outside the walls. Why? Well, Peter was not a Roman citizen, so they would kill him any way they want, and so he was brutally crucified. But Paul was a Roman citizen, and because he was a Roman citizen, they would not crucify him or burn him or do anything like that. He had the right to be beheaded, which the Romans thought was the quickest, most dignified way to die, because it would happen with very little suffering. It happened immediately. And so, and no Roman citizen could be beheaded within the walls of the city. So he was taken outside the walls of the city and beheaded and buried in a cemetery there. And a church was built over his grave as well, St. Paul outside the walls. Many people visit St. Peter's, but not many people get out to see St. Paul's, and I highly recommend it, because if you go out to see St. Paul's, you'll see a very unordained church, because being outside the walls, no artists wanted to put any great works of art out there, because if invaders came, we couldn't protect it. So it's huge, but very simply ordained, probably reflective of Paul's life. Paul wasn't into anything ornate. He led a very direct life in spreading the gospel.